What's up everybody, Cam back at you again. Today I am showing you a very heavily requested lesson, which is legato tips and tricks and exercises and a collection of different ideas to enhance your legato playing. And also in this video, it can't go without mentioning how I developed the technique really in my own experience, because my story behind developing this technique is not really that normal. Obviously I started playing dead young, and I really got into the idea first off from pretending to be Angus Young, doing those kinds of pull-off techniques, which has really got me familiar with the technique, the idea of playing, look, no picking hand. And secondly, it was finger tapping in the style of, well, you guessed it, Eddie Van Halen. And it was more about the idea of getting sort of left-hand independence and control, so to speak. Also, I'm left-handed, which I think might have presented a perk somewhere down the line. And I find that legato playing, just as a melodic concept, is really easy. Just refining the technique can be a little bit of a mystery for some people, and that is what I want to break down in this lesson, with some go-to exercises, some licks, some tricks, and some ideas. Let's go. Okay, first rule of legato I'd say is to get a very, very good tone out of your fingers, and this is a matter of hammering on firmly, not hard, because you don't want to fatigue out, but also pulling off with a lot of conviction, the idea of using the tip of your finger, the hardest point, and trying to recreate the same force as it would be if it were a pick. You hear that everywhere, that rule, and it's true. Maybe different finger combinations. And rather than driving people mad with that exercise, although it's very, very helpful, it's not always the most musical thing in the world, unless you're Tony Iommi, where you might have, for example. But examples that you can use in a lead context might be this Randy Rhoads style one, which I picked for today. So you'd have this. Sort of like a Revelation Mother Earth style harmonic minor lick there. Really, really cool lick there to try out. The next one would be a Steve Vai style legato pattern, which I always love because it gets you using your little finger, and I really love this one. Get ready for this. To get it comfortable, start it off and then gradually fade in a faster tempo. I never used a metronome for this, and it's a really simple pattern to do, and the reason why I say I didn't use a metronome for that is because a lot of my favourite legato sort of players aren't really that syncopated with it. They sort of float over the beat and then land on a note on time. That kind of an idea. And I really, really love that pattern, and it's led by the little finger there. And the idea to keep it clean, that a lot of people miss, is I'm keeping my palm by the saddles of the bridge there, where it would be if I was playing a riff. And then as I gradually get lower, I peel this hand back subtly to reveal the lower strings. And then when I'm in the middle, what's keeping everything quiet above is my index finger of all things. There's a little bit of flesh covering the strings above. So you'd have sort of pause there. The index finger is covering the B and high E strings there. Another example in this sort of a style here, I'm using some weird sort of hybrid version of a major scale here in case you didn't notice. But what you do is you come down in doubles. Very Van Halen style that, and if you, just a little tip, you might, if you take the top register here, you might recognize that from Mean Street. Anyway, another cool tip you might want to take from this one is I'm going to stay in this sort of vicinity, except I'm going to move up to B minor meets D major this time. And what you'll have is I'm going to go down in a group of 6, back up 2, then go back up there. So in this case, I'm on the 10th fret of the high E. And that's a really great way of having a really fast flowing lick. Very Guthrie style. I've heard him use this a lot. Really great little lick, that. You have lots of fun with that one there. Another great example to have down for this is not just using 3-note per string legato either, is instead focus on maybe using it in the pentatonic. And you're going to think I'm mad, but the idea is you might take a lick like this. You hear it slow and it just sounds like any old pentatonic lick, right? But the idea is I go up, pick the first note, pick the second note there, then pull off. Then when I come down, it's hammer on and pull off right the way down. So using the same muting idea that I was doing before. And when played quickly, it can sound like an arpeggio. It's really, really nice, that one, I think. And it certainly sounds far harder than it is, although I'm in the scale we all know and love. Another good example that you can take from these ideas, I've got sort of two major ideas I want to cover before we round off here, is going up. In this case, not a lot of people talk about this. There's loads of ways to come down, and no one talks about going up really. And this is a nice one to try out. So I'm just going to pick this one through and play it slowly, then move on to the next one. You really start to see the difference with this one once you speed it up. Now what we're going to do is, now that we're here, we're going to incorporate another idea which is very important, which is learning a scale on a single string. This is awesome for legato because it's your ticket around the fretboard. And what you'll have is something like this. See, so it's basically 2 hammer-ons, pull off, slide. And the importance of having a really good pull-off here means that the string the fret you're sliding to is alive when you get there. That note is loud, it's audible. And make sure your slides are pretty quick too, otherwise it can't really happen that way. And that lick combined with the last one is awesome. See how all of these ideas start to take shape? The whole point of legato is tiny little patterns, and they all form to make something really, really big. It's not about playing the whole scale and hoping you do a little better each time. It's making little exercises on one string and then translating the newly learned skill across the fretboard, across the scale, in order to make something really, really worthwhile. And it comes in steps. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick to develop technique, but it's really important to take on board the little tips that I'm conveying here, is using the very ends of your fingers and really hammering on and pulling off with a little bit of strength, not too hard, otherwise you will burn out. And also, if your action's super, super low, it can be great for legato, but sometimes it can limit you when it comes to other things like bending, for example. So it's always good to do it on sort of like a medium action, I'd say. And also it allows the notes to ring out a little louder, there's more sustain and so on and so forth. Let's see here if there was anything else you'd like me to go over. You could try something like this maybe, where if you want to get up to the top of an idea, add some little slides on the end there. Little legato nugget there on its own. Then another good one would be starting to add extra pull-offs in here. Hammer-ons and pull-offs, I should say, where you might have an idea like this. And the idea with that one is I'm literally hammering on from nowhere onto the string below and then using an upstroke with the plectrum on the string above. and mix it with different patterns that we covered today, and you'll be on to a winner. Thank you very much for watching this lesson, everybody. I hope you've liked what you've seen. If you'd be interested in some one-to-one tuition with me, my contact details are in the description box below. I do Skype lessons. If there are any other licks, techniques, and ideas you'd like me to teach on the channel, please suggest them in the comments. I'd love to see what you want. In the meantime, take care, and I'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.